Hello, today I'm going to be bringing you some quick tips and hacks on how to do some masking techniques and maybe extend the use of some products that you've already got. So maybe use your stencils in a way that you haven't already done, maybe use your die cuts in a way that you haven't already done. These are quite simple, and sometimes the simple ideas have passed us by and you think, oh, why didn't I think of that? So I've had a little think and I've come up with a few ideas and put them together in this video. And we're going to be creating some fun, easy backgrounds just using masking techniques, just so that you can create some quick and easy cards using focal images. You know, they might be digi-stamps, they might be die cuts, they might be stickers, you know, and none of these cards is time consuming. They're all really, really easy. You could quite easily create a whole pile of backgrounds and keep them in a box ready to go when you need some cards. So I'm going to move these out of the way and get my mat down on the table, and I'll be right back and we'll show you how to create them all. The first technique that I'm sharing today is a quick and easy way of creating some stripes. And to do that, you can use either masking tape, painter's tape such as this, or you can indeed just use some washi tape. If you've got a couple of designs that you don't like, go ahead and use those. I quite often use washi tape for just holding things down in place because it is a low-tack tape and it's not going to damage the surface of your cardstock. But today I'm just going to be using this decorator's tape. If you feel that it is a little bit too sticky, if you've tried it before and found that it starts to pull the surface off your card when you remove it, then just sort of press it against your clothing first before you stick it down on the card, just to remove a little bit of the stickiness. But for this, I'm going to be tearing or cutting some strips of tape and then using them to mask off stripes on my piece of card that's going to be, you know, the background. Now you can keep these straight, or as I'm going to do here, you can do them a little bit wonky, just for a bit of a fun effect. It doesn't really matter. It's entirely up to you. There's lots of ways of varying these techniques. And once you've done that, you can take your ink and a blending tool. This is what I'm using today. I'm using Distress Oxide ink here. This is Hickory Smoke. You can do this with paint. You could do it with acrylic paint. You could do it with some watercolour paint. And I'm just going to apply the ink over the masked off background to create our design. If you were using a paint, you'd allow that to dry and then peel the masking tape off. Obviously the ink is not going to go anywhere if I peel the tape off now. So just carefully remove your tape back off. You can reuse this again if you want to. So if you've got sort of the edge of your desk or a non-stick sheet that you want to just stick it down onto, go ahead and do that and reuse it. You might want to do a few backgrounds, do a whole batch of them ready. And there you've got just a masked off random stripy background. Do you want to put some more stripes on? Do you want to make them narrower? You can do that too. Again, just take your tape and reposition it. That edge is a little folded down, so I'm just going to pop another piece over the top of that one. But if we apply here through the masked off areas a second time, we've created some narrower stripes. I just caught the paper there as I snatched it off a little too quickly. That's fine. So what do we do with this? Well, we can do really quick and easy card. I've got a card blank. These are just a 5-inch card square card blank that I'm using today. I've matted a 4 3/4 inch piece of coloured cardstock on. We can then just mat this piece on. This is 4.5 inches square. All of the pieces are the same size that I'm doing today, just for easy convenience. Pop that on there. And here I've just got, this is a digi-stamp from the Octopode factory. This little girl's called Mime. And I can just pop her on there. And we can just finish it with, this is one of the Tim Holtz Snarky Small Talk stickers. I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. And this says, I wish more people were fluent in silence, which I think fits quite nicely with the Mime character. So there, quick and simple card with a nice striped background. So what else can we do with our strips of masking tape? Well, they don't have to be straight. We could indeed tear ourselves some strips of tape and then tear it down the centre to create a slightly uneven edge. A little bit fiddly, as it has a tendency to want to curl up and stick to itself. Now you could tear both sides if you want to. I'm just going to tear one side. And this time I'm just going to pop them reasonably straight across the surface of my card. And this time I'm going to use tumbled glass, nice pale blue colour. And just as before, we'll just apply the ink through the masked off areas. And this time we've just got that added interest of it not being completely straight edges, but a quick and simple background. Just going to wipe my ink off there. And this time I've put some lime green cardstock onto my card blank. Going to mat the inked background on there, and I've just stamped out a flower. This is a stamp from joggles.com, their funky flower #1. Stamped it out, coloured it in with some alcohol markers, matted it onto a bit of black cardstock just so it sort of stands out a little better. going to pop that on there. And I'm just going to finish this with one of these 13 Arts stickers. I like these. They're on a clear backing so that when you stick them down, you don't see the sticker, and it's quite a matte finish as well, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to pop that on there. And there we have our second quick and easy card. So the next thing that I'm going to do is combine using a stencil, a shop bought stencil, with a die cut or freehand cut or punched out shape. And what I've done is I've chosen a stencil. This one's a visible image stencil, and I've cut myself a piece of card, and then using my die cutting machine I've die cut a circle out of it. And I'm going to show you ways of using both the shape that we've cut out as a mask and the remainder with the aperture, and using that as a mask. So first of all, for this circle, I want to be using the stencil design through this aperture. So I'm going to place my stencil down over the top of my piece of cardstock. Then I'm going to put the mask that I've cut out over the top of that, and I've cut this to the same size as my backing card just so that I can line it up. I know then that this is going to be in the middle. This time I'm going to use the fossilized amber Distress Oxide ink, and just holding everything in place. You could tape this down if you want to, pop a bit of tape around the edge to hold it all in place, but I feel it's not too big for me to be able to hold on to it with my hand. And we're just going to ink through both the circle aperture that we've cut and the stencil design underneath. And then we can lift both those away, and we're left with a shape with a design in it, which is really nice. So to complete our card, here I've got my card blank with some black cardstock on it. Stick down our inked background, and these are some printable collage images from Vera Lane's studio that I'm using. I'm using these little houses. I've printed these out actually onto some sticker paper just to make it easier for me to pop them in place, but you can always glue them in. And these also come with some cute little polka dot clouds. And once again, this is just the Tim Holtz Ordinary Small Talk stickers. Just going to pop a sentiment on there to finish. Card number 3. So what if instead of inking through the shape, we want to ink outside of a shape? So once again, I've got my piece of card, I've got a stencil. Please don't ask me who made this stencil, I can't remember. This time I've die cut a heart shape, and instead of using the aperture, I'm going to take the heart that I've actually cut out and place that on the centre, and I'm going to ink around the outside of it. And we've got worn lipstick this time, nice pink. I like this pink, not too bright not too pale. I'm just going to hold that in place and ink all around the outside. And once again, remove both the stencil and the mask that we've cut. And we've got a pattern around the edge and a nice blank space in the middle that we can put our focal image on. So again, just going to clean a bit of ink off the mat. Bring in my card blank that's got a pale blue mat on it. Pop in place our inked background. I've got, this is Digistamp. This is also from Vera Lane Studio, as with the little houses, but this is a Digistamp and I've coloured myself. This time I'm going to pop her in with a little bit of 3D foam, just to lift her up off the background for a bit of dimension. Pop her there. And finishing off just with another of the Tim Holtz small talk stickers. This time I've just matted it onto a little bit of black card. And I'm going to pop it across the top there. And now that's card number 4. So while I was looking through my dies to get the circle and the heart die to cut my apertures, I came across my tattered lace flower dies, and these come with a base die and then a filigree overlay that fits over the top so that you could do a layered design. And I thought, well, why not use the base die to cut myself a stencil, a mask to all intents and purposes, and then I can use the filigree lace die cuts to fix over the top as my embellishment. So what I'm going to do here is I've die cut myself 3 flowers. I've done one of the large ones and 2 of the small ones, and I'm going to ink through the apertures that I've cut here and then overlay these on top with a little bit of shape in them. So this time I'm using the ripe persimmon. Now for this, obviously you've got to decide where do you want your flowers to be. And I think that I want 2 of them to be down here like so. And I think the 3rd one up at the top there, and that leaves me room to pop a sentiment on. So just going to move those out of the way for now and just align roughly where that's going to go. I'm going to ink through the aperture that I've cut in my scrap of card, and that's created my flower. I want one of the small ones to be down here, so again just sort of roughly working out where I want it. And of course you could do these all in different colours if you wanted to, or indeed you could die cut the lacy ones in different colours. I'm just trying to keep it easy, keep it simple. And I'm going to do another of the small flowers up at the top here. So again, just checking roughly where I want it before placing my mask down and inking through. And now I've done that, I can pop these into place, and you can just shape these slightly with your fingers if you want to. And I'm just going to attach them with a bit of glue in the centre. I don't want it to be glued all the way down flat. I want it to lift up a little bit. I'm just going to line that up over where I've inked, and the same with the others. So these are just some adhesive gems. I've got my card blank, which has got some bright yellow card matted onto it. And I'm just going to use another of these 13 Arts stickers. That one says, "This makes me happy," which I like that. And again, quick and simple card. It's lovely. We've got a little bit of dimension. You can vary the colour blends underneath if you want to. But this will also go flat and fit nicely in an envelope. So that is 5 cards. And I'm going to go back to a little bit of masking. What if you haven't got a die cutting machine? You might not be able to cut out the aperture. Well, that's all right, because we can always mask off a shape using some of the painter's tape. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do a circle very easily, but we could do squares, rectangles, triangles, diamonds. So for this demonstration, I'm going to do a sort of random triangular shape. And I'm going to use the Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide. This stencil is another from Visible Image. I'm thinking actually it might be quite fun to ink around the visible sections on the outside as well. So I'm just going to pick up the hickory smoke that's still sitting on my desk, and then we'll just remove that, and we're left with a design like that. And as with all the others, I have a background ready. Just going to wipe off that little bit of ink I can see there. I've matted some grey cardstock onto this one. I'm going to pop that in place. And for this, I've got such a cute die cut. This is one of the new Sizzix Tim Holtz dies. This is robotic. And I've spent a little time just making him up. He is slightly taller than my card blank, but I don't mind. He's going to go in a larger envelope. And just trying to decide best place to pop him. I think I'm going to put him on the side there. I have to say he's a little bit fiddly to layer up, but it is worth the effort. And this time I've got my Halloween clippings stickers, again Tim Holtz stickers, and I think he is a strange visitor. I think that suits him very well. And there we have another card. Put a happy birthday on that, perfect for a boy or a teenager's birthday. And the final thing I want to show today is a quick and easy landscape, really. Again, just using some scraps of card. So you can take a piece of cardstock and tear it to create hills, mountains, it could be waves, it could be clouds. And I'm going to use a couple of the colours that I've used earlier. And I'm going to begin by creating some hills and mountains. So placing my piece of card so that it is above, so that I'm inking the outline of the mountains. Just going to blend off that torn edge so that it's darkest by the torn edge, but then fades away. We can then repeat that. You can repeat that with this piece. You could take the other piece, which will have a slightly different torn design, and I'm going to move that down slightly to there. And just create a second row. And as this is going to be more in my foreground, I'm going to make it a little darker than I did previously. And there we have 2 rows of hills or mountains. So what if we want to create a sun or a moon rising over the background there? Well, die cut a small circle. I'm going to place that over my mountain. I want to just mask off the mountain area, as I don't want my moon or sun I'm going to do here. I don't want that to be on the top of there. And just ink through there. Take both of those off and we've got the sun rising. And to finish off, I'm just going to create a few clouds in the sky. And for that, I want it to be a slightly different torn edge. So a little bit more movement in it. And taking my pale blue and masking over my sun with the piece that I just cut out. I'm just going to work my way, just inking slightly over the edge. Just work my way up the sky. And that's created our clouds. And if you want to just finish with a focal image, this is one of the Tim Holtz wildflower dies. This is his original set of wildflowers. Just die cut one of those in black. I'm just going to apply a little glue to the background. pop that in place. So I've got a card blank with some red cardstock matted on it. Just going to pop this on there. And a final Tim Holtz Small Talk sticker, There is Beauty in Simplicity. Again, I've just matted that onto a little bit of black card. And I'm going to place that there at the bottom. And that's our final card. So I'm just going to clean up and I'll have a quick recap with you of all the cards we've made in this session. So here we have it. We started off with some straight lines masked off with masking tape or washi tape. And then we changed that up a little bit to create some wavy lines and created this card. Then we took our die cuts and masked off an area over a stencil. So there I masked off a heart shape over the top of a stencil. There I masked around a circular aperture with a stencil. We took a die cut and punched some flower shapes out of a piece of card and inked through them, and then layered a coordinating die over the top to create this lovely dimensional card. Here we took a stencil and masked off an area using the painter's tape again and inked through, and we inked through in a couple of colours there. And finally, here we just tore some paper to create our clouds and mountains and die cut a small circle to create the sun rising behind the hills there. So I hope you agree that there are lots of ways that you can incorporate masking into your background, and in a really quick and simple way. And you could in no time at all create some just fun backgrounds ready to go to with digi-stamps, printables, stamps, die cuts, you name it, as your focal image. And in no time at all you've created a nice selection of cards ready just to go to when you need one. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will be back again next week with another inspirational video for you. But for now, that's all. Bye.